Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Roman Puss here with the Yae Miko finally being out. I wanted to cover a little bit of a guide on her so we can go over some of her best weapons, some of the talents to prioritize, some team comps that she would potentially have, as well as I've experimented on a few different artifact sets to see which ones would be best on her. Now, Yae Miko is an Electro Catalyst user, seems to be more of a burst unit. Set up your elemental skills, then use your burst, and then you go out in one shot. Her basic attacks do seem somewhat clunky, but we'll dive into it and see how she feels to play, what are some pros and what are some cons of her. So let's dive in. Also, I do stream live on Twitch a couple days a week, so if you want to follow down in the description below, I truly appreciate it. If not, that's fine too, but let's move in and look at some Yae Miko, baby. All right, you guys, here is our one and only queen. I swear to God, if y'all saw my summons video, I'm gonna be honest, she was a little bit expensive to get, but let's dive in. Let's start with her talents first of all. Now, her basic attacks, I'm going to be honest, for a catalyst user, most people seem to be hating catalyst users. I actually love them. They're my favorite type to use, but she feels extremely awkward. You have three very slow basic attacks that you run. First off, you don't even use the weapon, so that part kind of bothers me. So they're very slow, and then if you choose to use your strong attack, which I actually think looks beautiful, the only downside to it is it takes forever to go off, but it looks fantastic. So keep in mind that when you're running through, when you are fighting in the abyss, you will be knocked out of your basic attack sequence and or your strong attack quite often. So be careful when you're running through and using that. Now, onto her elemental skill. As you saw, I just did 3 dashes. You basically dash, and wherever you land at the end of your dash, you will summon a little kitsune thing, whatever it's called, the little fox guy with the spiral thing, and it will sit there and it will rapidly shock around enemies, and it will do more damage based off the amount of items that you have out. So if you have up to 3, you can only get 4 if you have a constellation, so keep in mind, obviously that increases your damage significantly, so having 3 out at a time before you use your burst is going to be your goal. It is only a 4-second cooldown, so it is really fun to use because you constantly have a dash up, as you can see when you run these. Now, you cannot stack them on top of each other, so keep that in mind, but it is also really nice. Now, if you press forward when you're running, you dash forward. If you just press the button, it'll be a nice item to put you backwards, so you can kind of dodge enemies if you need that. It's a little bit of fun trick that I love on Yae Miko, so keep that in mind as you're using her when you're utilizing her elemental skill. Obviously, when you're running through and prioritizing your talents, you're going to want to focus your burst and your elemental skill as well, because those are higher priority, and your basic attacks you're probably not needing as much, especially if you're switching in and out between her. Now, her elemental burst is beautiful skill. It basically summons out a big fox. You go, and if the more kitsune, the more of your elemental skill that you have out of your 3 stacks, the more damage you will do. It significantly explodes them, and then rains down a bunch of lightning zaps on them as well, doing significant amounts of damage. Now, one thing I do want to mention is this is a big item. The damage on this is actually extremely good. You have the shield damage, plus you have bonus damage due to the amount of things that you blow up, basically your elemental skills. Now, you need to take into consideration the extremely large energy cost. 90 is one of the higher levels of energy cost. Only 22-second cooldown. 22-second cooldown is actually all right, but you're going to need a battery for her, so keep that in mind when you're building your team. You will want a battery, otherwise she's going to take forever to get her burst back, and you'll be kind of struggling during the abyss. Take note of that. Now, as for her other skills, when she gets the Great Secret Art Tenko Kenshin, her burst, each item that gets destroyed resets the cooldown for 1 charge of her elemental skill that she has. So basically, you have your 3 charges out, you get 1 second cooldown for each of that. It's significant. So basically, you get a shorter elemental burst cooldown, cut off 22 seconds, basically 19 seconds. Boom. Now, this is kind of a subset. This you'll want to take into consideration when you're building your team. People like Sucrose, people like Kazuha, you'll want to take note of items like this. You do scale off the elemental mastery. So Sucrose gives you elemental mastery. You have Kazuha will give you that elemental mastery, and you gain bonus damage on your elemental skill by 15% of that. So take note of that. It is important. The next thing I would like to go over and mention is her constellations. How important are they? I actually kind of wanted to go for a couple Yae Mikos. Unfortunately, I got extremely shafted on her weapon banner, so I wasn't able to get more copies of her. And we did pull a Jean during it. But let's go over her constellations. How worth are they for her, and is she worth getting all the constellations for? So elemental skill 1 or constellation 1 will give you extra elemental energy for yourself when you're running through using your skills. This is fantastic. I think it helps tremendously with how large of an energy cost her elemental burst is. So this will help you get your charge back. It will kind of put less pressure on your battery, so you may not need as extreme of a battery But you're probably going to be running someone large extreme batteries such as Raiden or Fischl. Those help tremendously, and even having Sucrose. I found Sucrose and Raiden actually are fantastic. You have your burst up 24/7 when you're running through the abyss. I actually love having this. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. You don't truly need a whale for that. This is how you get your 4th elemental skill. It'll increase your damage attack range as well, so this obviously increases your damage significantly. It has a higher scaling when you get to that 4th hit shot as well as increasing your burst damage because you proc 4 charges instead of 3, so keep that in mind. 3 is irrelevant, just boost that. Your 4th increases electro damage bonus of all nearby party members for 20%. This is kind of great. You're going to probably be using a 2nd electro unit, aka Raiden or Official. Probably Raiden, I think, is actually fantastic. The 2 electro mommies actually synergize astoundingly, so keep that in mind. If you want to go that far, this is worth. Now, this is the one part that I think actually is going to make her insane. This is basically Raiden 2.0. MiHoYo decided to be a little bit smarter and put this on C6 instead of C2. As all of you went for C2 Raiden to make her a full DPS, this would kind of make Yae Miko actually insane and kind of not just purely based off her burst. But if you have a C6 Yae Miko, this is going to be astounding. So if you have the whale dollars for it and you truly love it, then C6 Yae Miko will be fantastic. 60% of the opponent's defense is actually a tremendous amount. You're not going to be struggling. You will be able to destroy pretty much anything and everything. So I think it'd be fantastic. One day, maybe we'll hit that, but your boy ain't got those kind of dollars right now. All right, next up, I'm going to touch on a little bit of weapons that you have for choices. Now, I actually, it's kind of funny story, during the weapon banner, I actually pulled the Skyward Atlas. If you choose to go Skyward Atlas, this is actually an excellent alternate choice. If you've gotten shafted on a weapon banner, you could run this. It gives you elemental damage bonus. You get attack. You also get the little proc from the 160% of your attack damage. This is an excellent choice if you choose to go this route. Increasing your attack percentage, your crit rate, you're going to want to focus your crit rates and crit damage on your substats because you're going to be missing it from her main weapon. Her main weapon, obviously, your best in slot, but if you have Skyward Atlas, that's fantastic as well. I will be comparing a little bit more damage numbers throughout the future. I'm going to be comparing side by side her main weapon along with the Skyward Atlas. I'm going to do the side by side comparison without artifacts and see kind of what's doing the most damage with those. Now, if you have alternate choices, that new Oathsworn weapon is probably going to be fantastic on her. It gives her energy recharge, aka your fat. Energy cost on your elemental burst is insane, so that's going to be a fantastic choice if you want to pursue that weapon. That would be great. Now, we finally get to the juicy part, the artifacts. Now, I've seen a couple different people, and I even initially started with Thunderers. I always knew Thunder was going to be most catalyst users that you have. If you want to have them as DPS, is generally going to go your elemental damage bonus. Klee with the Pyro. You have even Kokomi. I'm running the Hydro. Actually, I was running Hydro before, but until we got the new Ocean Wave set. But so I switched it. Ocean Wave's just too good on Kokomi, so it's basically made for her. Anyways, Thunderous Fury. Fantastic. Most of you probably have not grinded this artifact set, so if you can just get a couple decent pieces, you just need to go for your feather, go for your flower. That's what I recommended. This is what I did. I actually just skimped out. I just had my flower and my feather, and that's like the bare minimum. I didn't have the craziest of pieces, but I had decent enough. These are actually going to get me far enough in life where I'll take it. HP percent roll, unlucky, but it is what it is. Now, I have experimented between the 3 different items. I tried Noblesse, I've tried Emblem, as well as I've tried Shiminawa's. And from those 3, I have found that Shiminawa's actually gave me the most damage. It also increases your attack. Otherwise, you'll be kind of running a little bit too low of attack if you run Emblem. Not too low, but it's just not as high. So you'll be able to increase crit damage if you get better stats that mine aren't even crazy high for Yae Miko currently, because my artifacts are still kind of dookie. But, you know, RNG's MiHoYo, I'm working on it. But so I have found Shiminawa's and Thunderers is probably going to be your best combo on the initial setup, so I definitely recommend going with this as an easy start. Shiminawa's you probably already have because you probably grinded a lot of Emblem, and if you haven't yet, then you should, as well as Thunderous Fury. If you can just pick up a couple pieces from that, it's kind of a garbage dungeon to actually run, but it is what it is, so it's just how it is.
Right now, nothing lasts forever. Right here. Right now, emerge. A sight to behold. Emerge. Right now. Nothing lasts forever.
All right, lastly, we're going to get down to team comps and what would be good for her. Now, I love running a little bit of zap comps because it's just like explosive, everything. Kokomi's fantastic with getting the zaps. You can set up her jellyfish, and then you can just switch to Yae Miko. You can all of a sudden just set up, you have her jellyfish. You set up your shock triangle that I love. You just set up your shock triangle. All of a sudden, then you cast your burst. Boom. Shoots everything down. You can even get Sucrose here. Do a little mix. Get your elemental mastery up. You cast Raiden out. Use your elemental skill. And then go boom. Hit one tap everyone for fat amounts of damage and rain down lightning on everybody. Now, this is an option if you would like. People like Kazuha would be fantastic in this as well. So you could replace Kazuha, probably even with Kokomi. You're probably going to want a healer though. So maybe Kazuha, you could skip out on Sucrose potentially. Otherwise, you have people like Fischl. If you want to replace Raiden, or if you do not have Raiden, you could definitely run Fischl. People like maybe potentially even Beidou. Probably not. You're going to want a little bit more of a battery. Sucrose is fantastic. If you have these two on this team, Yae Miko gets her elemental skill back, or elemental burst back extremely fast. Remember, she has the huge cost for that, so it ends up not being so bad. Otherwise, you have other potential teams. Now, I have seen if you run Bennett, Sucrose, Yae Miko, and probably Fischl or Raiden or someone, whoever it was, I can't remember. I've seen people hit for large amounts of damage, big PP numbers, like 150k, I believe. I'll post a screenshot here. I saw this on Twitter. This is not my credit, but this person actually hit for large amounts of damage. Yae Miko can actually wail pretty hard, and that was only with your talents at level 6, so who knows what happens when she's fully crowned. Now, there's a variety of different teams. You honestly cannot go wrong. I feel like she fits into so many different varieties. If you want to run Jiangling, you can hit those different combos, those different bursts. Bennett, obviously, giving her extra attack can pretty much substitute. If you want to run Emblem, if you don't have a battery and you need to run Emblem, you could use Bennett to substitute. That way he can give her a little bit extra attack and kind of boost her damage in that way, shape, and form. Otherwise, you can also run Mona if you want to run and be able to hit that big PP burst damage. You could run Mona, Sucrose, Bennett, and Yae Miko. I said Yanfei. And Yae Miko, that is an option as well. There's a variety of different choices that you could have that would boost her damage significantly. And one of the choices you always have Zhongli if you want to protect her. If you want to run a DPS kind of not necessarily huge burst Yae Miko, you could run Zhongli, help her shield. That way she can sit there and get her basic attacks off and her strong attacks off, because you will be getting knocked over quite often. So keep that in mind when you're running through and dealing damage with her. So take that into large consideration. Overall, you guys, I think Yae Miko is a fantastic unit. I am absolutely in love with her. If you are in love with Catalyst users, or you decently like Catalyst users, I definitely would recommend pulling for her. I think she fits into a good amount of teams and actually does a solid amount of damage. Remember, the game is not all about big PP damage. It is just enjoying the characters. So if you really like Yae Miko, she's fantastic, then go with her. I cannot recommend enough. I really love her. I'm actually just having so much fun with her. She's actually one of the biggest units that I've been so excited for. Surprisingly, I wasn't even excited for her at first, but the way her kit works, the way her, like the Fox Girl, it's just okay. Before I even get into that, it's just, yeah. So I would recommend pulling for her. Just be careful about how clunky her basics do feel. It's just a different style of gameplay, so you're going to not be used to it, given you're used to probably playing a bunch of quick items like Ayaka, even Hu Tao and Zhao. People like that just attack so quickly, so it's going to be a different style of gameplay. So make sure you are ready to be adjusted to that. So that's all I have. Alright, you guys, that is my Yae Miko guide video. Let me know what you guys think of down below. If you guys think different artifact sets, be sure to comment down below. I'm willing to kind of think out or try new things as we go through. Remember, I will be doing kind of a weapon comparison in the upcoming videos, so be on the lookout for that, because I want to kind of test for different damage, specific numbers with different weapons, and we're going to kind of run those tests. So I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what you guys think of her down below. How lucky did you guys get on her polls? Did you not pull for her? Did you skip? And I'm so excited to see where we go from here. So I can't wait for hopefully for her to have a skin, because I'm gonna be honest, her outfit is actually not my favorite. So if she gets a better outfit, but I still love her, I'm so excited for it. So that's all I have for you guys. Remember, check me out on Twitch, streaming a couple days a week. Link is down in the description. And that's all I have for you guys. I'm your boy Roman Puss. I'm gonna be taking off. Yeah, peace, beautiful people.